Hey guys, it's Steve here from The Checkpoint, and welcome to a comprehensive and in-detail theory to the zombie storyline now that we've been shown the trailer for the Giant. If you haven't seen the trailer for the Giant bonus map, then I highly advise you do so, as it will aid your understanding in this video and provide you with some quite literally mind-blowing information on where the zombie storyline is going next. Remember, this is all a theory and I won't be covering the entire zombies storyline from start to finish in full detail, but we will be covering the main dynamics and notable features of it due to the new information shown in the trailer for the Giant. So every storyline needs a beginning, and in my eyes, in the zombie storyline we have three beginnings. We have Der Riese, where the zombies were first created, a German facility near Breslau, Germany. Typical crazy scientist creates horrific creature story arc. And we also have Origins, which is the first meeting of our four characters, Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo and Richtofen, and it was the first utilizations of element 115. And finally we have Mob of the Dead, and I'll get back to this one in a second because it's kind of an outlier in this whole situation. So with these three beginnings we now have three dimensions, I want to say, three realities, and these are all realities conjured by the premise that each of these maps are the conception of a story. These are all three potential conceptions of the stories, of the zombie storyline, and when you have the beginning of a story, obviously you've got to follow it through with the rest of the story, or else it's just, you know, useless. So bear in mind that just like in Mob of the Dead, these stories never end. They keep going round and round until the story is broken. Like rereading a book over and over again, the characters within those books could theoretically live forever due to the fact that you create their existence over and over again by rereading the book. So, you know, once you've finished a book and you put away forever, those characters are erased forever. But if you reread the book, those characters are drawn back into existence again. And this is the premise of which I want to get to later on. So let's talk about the Der Riese line. In Der Riese we have Kino der Toten, Ascension, Call of the Dead, Moon and Origins. Okay, that's the storyline beginning from Der Riese. Kind of sort of ending at Origins, we'll get back to that. In the Origins line we have Origins and the Giant. And in the Mob of the Dead line we have Mob of the Dead and Shadows of Evil, which is the new zombies map coming to Black Ops 3 that developers have already said is connected to Mob of the Dead, so there. Now the real core of this whole storyline is Origins, because Origins not only appears in the Der Riese line, it also appears in the Origins line as the beginning map. So Origins is the most important part of the entire zombie storyline so far, because it is the beginning and the end of the story. Now Mob of the Dead comes into play by introducing us to the concept of cycles. And in the Easter egg of Mob of the Dead, we had to repeat the same night on Alcatraz over and over again until the cycle was broken, which conceives the idea of cycles existing in the zombies universe. So how can this be applied to Origins? So in the Der Riese line, we go through each map, completing Richtofen's grand scheme until our characters, Dempsey, Nikolai and Takeo, die on the moon. They die, they're killed, they are eaten by zombies, you know, whatever, they die, they're dead. So Samantha, after having control of the ether and all the mystical powers, remember Samantha actually appears on the moon after she swaps bodies with Richtofen as part of his grand scheme, so now she's fighting alongside the three characters. Samantha, after having control of the ether and all the mystical powers available to her, by the way, if you don't know what the ether is, it's basically this mystical dimension where you can control the zombies and it's the source of great evil and yada yada yada. That's where Samantha resides, and now where Richtofen resides. So she uses her powers to communicate with the four characters' younger versions in Origins. And this starts the Origins dimension, where the original four can go to the Giant and kill Richtofen before his grand scheme begins, thus erasing the Der Riese storyline from ever happening and saving our characters from their death at Moon. However, if the Moon Easter egg is not complete, then obviously Samantha cannot communicate with the Origins original four, and thus they all die on the moon, which is indicated by the lack of ending music on the moon. If you remember, when playing that map, or any map in Call of Duty, Black Ops Zombies, World at War Zombies, you had ending music to signal that the story was not over. I'd always see that ending music in the next map. but this time there was no ending music, which means our characters' stories ended there. However, with the rereading a book premise I used earlier in the video, our characters begin again at Origins and go through the same story all the way up to dying on the moon, and then beginning again at Origins and going through Moon again, and then going back to Origins and beginning at Moon again, and then going back to Origins. It just loops round and round like the cycle we see in Mob of the Dead until the cycle is broken. Now the way that this cycle is broken is what we see in the giant teaser trailer. So we have 3 storylines constantly on a cycle. Mob of the Dead is an outlier, so it's not really, it's maybe 2 storylines, and it introduces to cycling dimensions in the Zombies universe. And the main storyline is of course Der Riese up to Origins, which loops over and over when the characters die on Moon, getting sent back to Origins, dying on the Moon, sent back to Origins, dying on the Moon, sent back to Origins. So the Origins storyline is a branch off of this storyline, where if the Moon Easter egg is complete, the cycle can be broken by Samantha telling the Origins 4 to travel to the Giant and to have Origins Richtofen murder Der Riese Richtofen. So the real breaking of the cycle comes from Samantha being freed from the MPD on Moon. If she is not freed, then the characters die and they begin again, and if she is freed from the MPD, then she has the ability to communicate with the Origins team when they were younger and aid them in killing Richtofen and erasing anything that happened from World at War Der Riese onwards. So essentially what she's doing is sacrificing everything that's happened between Der Riese and Moon in order to break the cycle and to put an end to Richtofen's grand scheme before it even begins. So this erases the Der Riese storyline to exist. Everything that happened from Der Riese to Kino to Ascension, Call of the Dead to Shangri-La to Moon, all erased, everything. So Samantha is still in control, but Richtofen never gains the potential to take control of the zombies because he's killed by Origins Richtofen. I know this sounds real confusing, but I'm hoping you guys understand where I'm coming from. In order to change the future, Samantha has to communicate with the past characters to kill Richtofen and erase the forthcoming events that happen. And as we know, it's all absolutely terrible what happens. They destroy the Earth, human life is wiped out, it's awful. So Samantha goes back and stops Richtofen from ever coming into power, thus starting a new storyline from Origins to the Giant to wherever they go next. So yeah, I hope you understood that. I spent a good couple of hours last night just thinking up this theory and just thinking how these storylines can coexist and stuff like that. So if you have any questions, then please leave it in the comments, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you wish, and I will talk to you very soon.